everybody, and welcome to Autumn Leigh at Home. I'm Autumn Leigh. Today I'm going to share with you 3 recipes that I use to use up Thanksgiving leftovers. Please follow along with me and we'll go ahead and get started. This year we went to our aunt's house for Thanksgiving and she sent us home with a lot of leftovers. So I'm finding myself trying to find ways to use up those leftovers and recreate them in different ways. And I'm sure many of you are probably in the same boat. The 3 recipes that I'm going to show you today are so simple to use. They require a lot of the similar ingredients that you would find at Thanksgiving, plus a couple of random items that I happen to have at the house. So the first one that we're doing is going to be using up some croissant rolls that I happen to have left over in the refrigerator that I haven't used yet, as well as some pepper jack cheese. Now you can use whatever cheese you want, and it uses the leftover turkey. So if you happen to have any leftover turkey, as well as cranberry sauce, that is literally the ingredients. Another optional ingredient was spinach leaves. Now I'll post this recipe below, that way you guys can go and look at it, but I really want you to just use the recipe as like a guideline, and you don't have to follow it exactly. This is more, all 3 of these recipes are just more of ways to give you ideas for recreating whatever side dishes or things that you have left over from Thanksgiving for from your own refrigerator. So if you have ham, you can do this with ham. If you have turkey, do it with turkey. Whatever cheese you happen to have on hand, that works. Now, in full disclosure, once I created this, my kids were not a huge fan of the cranberry sauce in it, but I think that that's just to taste to whatever your family likes. So if your kids happen to not like cranberry sauce in the first place, they probably wouldn't like it in this. That was kind of what my kids do. They're never a huge fan, or haven't really been a huge fan of cranberry sauce in the first place, let alone when I put it in here. But it was easy to pick out and they still loved the dish. The dish itself was fantastic, especially for my kids. I think next time I would just leave the cranberry sauce off. Many of you guys may be watching this video after your Thanksgiving leftovers have already spoiled or gone bad or anything like that. That is fine, because we also have Christmas coming up, and many people do similar things for Christmas or any other holiday for that matter. And so this is just good ideas, again, for using up leftovers, whether it's a holiday or any other time of the year that you happen to have leftovers. And use it kind of as a base just to kind of come up with other ideas of rethinking ways that you can use leftovers. Obviously, you can heat them up just as they are and they would taste fantastic, and we are doing that as well. But because we have so many leftovers, I hate to just throw the food out, and I really would like to use it and recreate it. And obviously I may have to add or cook some more side vegetables to go with it, but that's fine, because it still gives us wonderful more dishes that are using up those leftovers that have been fantastic. As you can see with the crescent ring, to get started, all I did was gather all of the leftovers that I was going to need. So I pulled out the cranberry sauce, pulled out the crescent rolls, I got my cheese shredded, which again, you can use whatever cheese you want. If you happen to have mild cheddar in the fridge already, whatever cheese you have happen available. Now, I used the pepper jack just because it did add a little bit more flavor, and it really didn't turn out spicy. None of my kids felt that this was spicy at all. So that worked out really well. And then I chopped up my turkey into a little bit finer pieces. You can shred it, do whatever you want with it, put it in there how it is, however you feel that you would like it best. And then now I'm just arranging the crescent roll triangles in a circle, kind of like in the shape of a star, and just layering 2 packs of them. If you only have 1 pack, I think you could still probably do this dish with 1 pack and just put them a little closer together and use less ingredients. But other than that, this was so simple, and putting those out into a circle, the kids were amazed by it. They kept coming and looking at it because they were confused on what I was doing. But it made it look really pretty as well. I used the second pack of crescent rolls for the second layer, and I just overlapped them a little closer together and put them in between the first layer. And now I'm taking the chopped up pieces of turkey and spreading it around the center of the ring. And then after that, I'll do the exact same thing with the cheese, and then lightly place the cranberry sauce pieces. And if you have a different type of cranberry sauce, that's fine. This is the gelatin version of the cranberry sauce. But whatever version that you have, if you like cranberry sauce, then you can go ahead and put it on there. If you see my kids dancing in front of the camera, every time I walk away from the camera, somebody likes to sneak in and start dancing, which I think is really funny. So I think they're still kind of getting used to the camera being out every once in a while. Now that I'm finished putting all of the ingredients in it, it's time to wrap it up and make it look pretty. This is such a simple recipe, but it looks really impressive. So again, if you have leftovers, this is a wonderful idea to be able to impress your family without any hard work, because I didn't do any cooking other than really just kind of the what I would have to do for baking crescent rolls is wrapping this up in crescent rolls, sticking it in the oven because all the other ingredients are already cooked or just need to be warmed up. So it was really nice and it looked really pretty. And so now that it's done, I'm just wrapping it up and slowly taking each piece and pulling it straight over the top and kind of tucking it in and making sure that it's attached to the bottom piece as well. So I went around and did the top layer first, and now I'm going back around and doing the bottom layer. Now that we're finished wrapping this up, I had gone ahead and preheated my oven to 375 degrees. I'm really just mainly following the recipe on the crescent roll packaging. So that's 375 degrees. Now, the recipe that I'm going to post in the description, it says to bake these for 20 to 25 minutes. And mine didn't fully get done. The crescent rolls didn't fully get done on the inside. The cheese was nice and melted. Everything was warmed all the way through. I did also have to put, because on the packaging, the crescent rolls, I think you're only supposed to bake them for, what is it, 9 minutes or so? I don't remember. It might be like 9 or 10 minutes. And so I didn't want them to get too burnt on the top or the bottom. So I put aluminum foil. I just gently draped it over the top. And then I ended up putting another piece under it as well, just so they wouldn't get too brown. But once I did that and let them bake for about 20 minutes, just keep an eye on them, make sure they're not getting too dark. They turn out beautiful. So this is lightly brown, nice and toasted, and everything is warmed throughout. Of course, I had to add a side of vegetable, which was leftover green beans. Now, the next recipe is probably the simplest of the three, and the third one is great. So hang in there until you get to see the third one because that's one of my kids' favorites. But this one was probably the easiest one. It's literally taking leftover macaroni and cheese, heating it up, and I also happen to have leftover hot dogs in the refrigerator. If you don't already have hot dogs, I know Aldi was selling a pack of them for 97 cents. So it's super simple and easy to pick up. If you already have it, great. If you don't, you can get it next time you go to the store and just keep some in the freezer. But for now, I'm heating up the macaroni and cheese, and then I'm going to slice them for my littlest one and then cut them up for the rest of the family. And then I mix it all together and serve it that way. Now, another option for the macaroni and cheese to use it as a side dish and to recreate it. I've also done this with broccoli. Now, that's not my kids' absolute favorite, but if I dice the broccoli up small enough, they can't pick it out. So I could also recommend that if you happen to have leftover broccoli or broccoli in the refrigerator, you can steam it real quick or roast it even would be better in the oven. And you can dice it up really small, mix it into the macaroni and cheese. And to be honest, most of the time they can't even taste it. They just don't like it because they know it's in there. But most of the time they love roasted broccoli, and so they'll eat it that way. sometimes I use these ideas for dinners, and then sometimes I use them for lunches. Now, I just want you guys to use this as a stepping stone and ask yourself what you can use from your own refrigerator. So maybe go grocery shopping in your own refrigerator before going back out to the store if you happen to have leftovers. Because this can be used any time of the year, not just at Thanksgiving. At least this idea can. But go ahead and go grocery shopping in your refrigerator before going to the store is such a useful thing because it saves you money and you're using up all the leftovers. Now, obviously, you want to keep in mind when the leftovers were cooked originally and make sure that you're usually using them pretty soon after they were cooked. But now the next recipe is my kids' all-time favorite. We use it for multiple different leftovers for different things. I happen to already have Hawaiian rolls that we ended up not using. And if you don't have these, you can also watch one of my other videos. I show you how to make yeast rolls, and either one is great. You can do homemade yeast rolls, you can do Hawaiian rolls, or if you happen to have any other roll left over from, or bread item left over from Thanksgiving or Christmas or leftovers in general, this is a great way to use that. So we do this by making, or we utilize this by making ham and cheese sliders. And you can use this in many different ways. So of course, this time around, because it was Thanksgiving, we have so much ham left over, and I always keep shredded cheese in the refrigerator. So I use it to make ham and cheese sliders this time, just to use up both the rolls as well as the ham. But in the many other times in the past, I also make pizza sliders, and that's actually a huge hit both with my family as well as at parties. All I do is cut the Hawaiian rolls in half, then take the leftover ham, spread it across the top in one layer. Now, if you love ham and you want to put it more than one layer, that's completely up to you. All of this is just to give you that baseline of ideas for you can make it to taste on how you want it. And obviously, mom gets to snack as she's cooking, which is something I'm very guilty of. But I'm putting the ham in one layer, then I sprinkle the shredded cheese over it. You can use whatever cheese you want. We happen to have shredded mild cheddar, so that's what I used. And then I put the other layer back on top of the Hawaiian rolls. I fold it back over, and I melt some butter, and I usually use 3 to 4 tablespoons of butter, and I mix in my homegrown oregano that we had dried, dehydrated in the past in one of my other videos, and that gave it so much more flavor, as well as some garlic salt. Now, I had made garlic salt in one of my previous videos. However, we have completely used that. It tasted fantastic. So I used it on many different things. So this is store-bought, but I plan to make some more in the future. I mixed the oregano and garlic salt in the melted butter and then just spread it across the top of the Hawaiian rolls, and then wrapped it in the aluminum foil, and I preheated the oven to 375 degrees, placed it in the oven to bake for 20 to 25 minutes. Now, you want to watch it carefully because these sometimes the rolls brown and become dark before the Hawaiian rolls are actually, or the cheese is melted on the inside of the sliders. Now, so if that's the case, you can lower the temperature to 350 degrees, and that way it can cook for and warm up for a little bit longer without having to become too much darker. Now that the sliders are almost finished and we're about to enjoy those, I do want to take this time to say thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that this inspired you just to kind of utilize what you have, both to save money and to utilize the leftovers so that we're not wasting. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day and join me again next time. I try to post every Wednesday at about 5 o'clock, but I hope you enjoy and give me any ideas that you guys may have. Please like, subscribe, and share, and I hope to see you next time.